Here's what we're going to be doing today. Today, you'll notice the balcony's closed. We're all on the main floor, and that's for a very specific reason. Which, additionally, if you could move into your rows a little bit, we have some people standing, and that will be helpful for them to find a seat. So if you can move in so that the ends are accessible, that'd be very, very helpful. And then you all that are standing there, you don't have to stand. You can find a seat. Thank you, thank you. So we are doing a chapel that is similar to something we've done in the past. In the past, we've done a series titled Songs and Stories, and we did that Songs and Stories series working through our chapel values. So making sure that you all communicated and we told stories based on dependence, community, honesty, story-formed, and beauty. And it was an incredible chapel series, and we were grateful for it. And when I got feedback every single time when I do the feedback that you guys give me, survey that you guys give me, I get feedback that we want to hear more Judson stories. We want people to tell Judson stories. Like, what are our peers and staff and faculty? What's happening in their lives? Because we are a community that's knitted together for 2 to 4 years at the very least, and we want to get to know one another as a family. And so we have this chapel right here. We'll probably do another one in the spring as I plan the spring this week. And you're going to hear from several different voices today. You're going to hear from several different voices. I sent an email out over this last week or 2 weeks ago or something like that saying, hey, if you're interested in Judson Stories, please respond. And I put them through, hey, here's the theme, and give me a paragraph or what your song is or what your poem is so that we can just make sure it's on theme. If there's anything we need to work on, I can help work with you on it. And so the people who are going to be presenting today, the first thing I want you to do is give them your attention. The second thing is give them your respect. It takes a lot of courage to show up and tell your peers, and you're like, we're not an intimidating bunch. You actually are a very intimidating bunch, and the way that I know it is because we have speakers come in specifically to speak to you, and they get off stage saying that you're an intimidating bunch. Like, you intimidate professional speakers who do this for a living. And so you are intimidating. So what I want you to do is be like over the top appreciative for the speakers to have come and shared their stories. Give them rounds of applause, hoop and holler for them, all that good stuff. You've done it in the past. It's actually one of the things that makes me really, really, really proud of you. We've had people make mistakes on stage in chapel, whether it's during an event or during chapel itself, and you all like fill in the gaps time and time and time again. The theme for today's service is move forward. The theme for today's service is move forward. And I want to give you a couple reasons why that is. First, one of the things that's pretty common when you listen and read people who do surveys on your generation is that you don't have, what they say typically is you don't have any resilience, which means when you encounter a hard obstacle, you give up, or you emotionally shut down, or you lose it, or something like that. This theme is move forward because there's actually incredible stories of how you have moved over obstacles, of how you've moved past some incredibly difficult things in your journey to get here, and I want to tell those stories. The next thing is, as we tell these stories as a community, we begin to encourage one another, and we begin to believe that maybe I can actually move forward through some things as a whole. The last thing that we're going to do, if we have time, which I believe we will, even though I've taken too much time already for this opening introduction, no surprise there, is I want you to have an opportunity to tell some of your story. So I'm going to tell you right now that as you're listening, I want you to be thinking. I want you to have a two-sentence story about how you've moved forward personally. And so I'm going to go around, and you're going to raise your hand, and I'll give you the opportunity just to either say into the mic or say it to everyone. Just 2 sentences. How have you moved forward? Could be something huge, could be something that feels huge, but when you speak it, it feels small to other people around you, or it could be something just this morning. But without further ado, I would like to welcome our first speaker, Mr. Anderson.
I gotta grab the mic. Good morning, first off. Many of you know me as a sports-loving human who is a musician, a people person, one of those crazy Andersons, and one who loves communication, which is part of my job title. But many of you don't know that the odds that were against me, even to hold a genuine conversation in my life or speak in a forum like this during my childhood. When I was between 18 months and 2 years of age, my family started noticing some signs that I wasn't developing right. I wasn't talking. I was irritable of many noises, and my parents decided to take me in to see many medical specialists. The general conclusion of these specialists was that I had autism, and that there was a chance it could have progressed to something more severe. My family was determined to seek out all possible solutions before conceding, and thank God they did. They kept searching for another doctor until a family friend referred us to one in California whose out-of-the-box thinking was exactly what I needed. He believed that my illness was on a wider spectrum than what the original autism diagnosis was when the disease was discovered, and believed that I could be treated. He calls the illness neuroimmune dysfunction syndrome, or NIDS, and believed that much of the wiring inside of my brain just simply needed to be activated. The treatment was intense emotionally, physically, and financially, but there was a promise in sight. Treatment included prescription drugs, hoping that maybe some sort of side benefit would be beneficial. It also included seeing some numerous specialists in vision and behavioral therapy. There was no guarantee that even all of those steps would lead to a full recovery. My family, however, was ready to face the challenge. During my 10 years of recovery, I dealt with plenty of obstacles adjusting to common society. One of those was in the classroom and building friendships. With many of my hurdles in speech and processing, I was not the most popular individual at my school. Teasing and mocking were certainly of the norm, and it was very common for me to be pulled out of the classroom with occupational therapists and reading instructors to attempt to get back on par with my age group. I was easily picked on as someone who was different, and that lasted through most of my elementary school years. In addition, being a Christian in public schools was not the norm, and it became pretty evident early on in my education that my faith would be another source of separating myself from my peers since I sought to do what was right in the image of God. There were many improvements to my cognitive life and behavior, and about 10 years later, I was considered fully healed. I have no signs of any part of this illness lingering with me today, and I'm thankful to this day that I was able to recover in such a manner. Around the same time, I began transitioning into private Christian school education at Westminster Christian School. This was the first time that I saw the potential of being able to gain new friends, develop relationships, and grow in Christ. This was monumental for me as I was able to realize that I could trust in God to bring His glory into my life. Despite the healing, I wasn't confident in sharing my story until recently. I sensed that my story might be hard to believe, or people may think that I am currently living with some sort of illness. But ever since my senior year at college in Waynesburg University, I realized that God gave me this story to share to others, and that it does not matter what other people think of me. Instead, God showed me that the goal of my story was to share to others so that they can find Him, have hope, and be inspired. So I want to leave you with a few takeaways. First, make it a point to understand where other people are coming from spiritually, emotionally, and rationally. Everyone has a voice and an opinion that would love to be heard. God gave us each individual desires to make an impact on the world, giving them the opportunity to be heard so that they not only could be life-changing for them, but it also could be giving a better perspective to us as well. Second, don't let yourself worry about what other people think of you. This is something that I'm still struggling with today. Realize that you are made in the image of God, and that is all that matters. I have spent so much time in my life replaying thought after thought after thought in my head of what others think of me. And I'm realizing more and more daily that Christ is the only identity I need. Third, never give up in anything you do. There is always hope. Don't let anyone say you can't do anything. There are countless stories of people who were given what many would consider a disadvantage in life. Instead of saying, why are my circumstances in life this way? Ask the Lord how I can use my current circumstances for His kingdom. I want to thank Judson University Ministries for allowing me to speak on my life. If anyone wants to learn more about my story or see how ideas can be used in Christian today's society, feel free to find my blog at mindsofmeaning.com. Thank you.
Hello. I have a poem to share. This poem is called Quicksand, and it's about, of course, moving forward. But the thing about quicksand, if you guys don't know, is that when you struggle more, it actually makes it harder and you sink faster. And if you stop struggling and you just relax and float, you'll start to float up and get out of it. A lot of times in moving forward, we think we have to actually move our feet or actually do things and keep doing things and keep doing things in order to get out of where we were. But this is about quicksand. Sweat seeps from my forehead. I'm stuck in this quicksand, struggling to escape. I've been told that I should never stop fighting, keep moving forward. But when I escaped my past, I kept running. I couldn't stop to smell the roses because I would get poked by the thorns. I ran into this jungle in which I am unfamiliar. I learned how to cut through bush, climb over trees. I learned to swim in the piranha-infested waters, and even when I got bit by those piranhas, I learned to bite back. But now I'm here in this quicksand. I struggle as my feet sink lower, faster and faster. All I've been taught was to fight, but now it's fighting harder. Then I hear a voice from the sky. Be still. I shake my head as I keep struggling. Be still. My heart beats faster as I try to ignore this voice. Be still. I stop. Immediately, yet slowly, I start to rise. Thank you.
Hi, I'm a little sick, so bear with me. I'm Damaryan. I'm a freshman here, and this is my story of how I've moved forward in my life. Ever since I was a little kid, I remember asking the question, who am I? I was called a girl or gay due to my high-pitched voice, labeled as an Oreo. And for any of you that don't know what that is, it's being told that you're black on the outside, but white on the inside because of how you acted. For anyone that's been bullied in here, if you really think about it, you were beat up for being yourself. For anyone that hasn't, imagined that. Being beat up for being yourself. That still amazes me. I started to accept society's limitations of how I cannot become a doctor, an entrepreneur, or anything successful because of the color of my skin. And I know some of you can't even understand that, and that's okay. But no, that's how I felt. And on top of everything, I lost my dad to a bullet in the streets of Chicago. All of this by the age of 11. What results from this? Grades start to drop, behavior starts to become a problem. Listen, this is not a pity party for you to feel sorry for me, because we've passed that. That I'm sorry this happened to you. That I didn't know this. What kind of friend am I? Because we all have our different realities. But the crazy part is, it's not what your reality consists of, but what you do after. What's going to be your outcome of your reality? And if listing those obstacles was for any purpose, it wasn't to show what they were, but what its effect was on me. Going through all these obstacles, I felt like I was a statistic in the making. A statistic in the making. By the age of 15, I was supposed to be a father and be in jail by the age of 18. Well, to let you know, I'm 18. And God had other plans for me. Fast forward to today. Losing my dad, what did I do? It created an interest, a passion, a drive, no, a purpose, to where I do what I can, to where no other kid has to lose a loved one due to senseless gun violence. To where I started a club in my high school, attended rallies, and ultimately led a rally. I won Youth of the Year for this year and won a full ride here. That's what I do now. What I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get my MBA and go in nonprofit administration and impact kids' lives from struggling local communities. That's what I'm gonna do. And I'm not listing these accolades to make you think I'm on top of things or I got things together, because I don't. to show that you should never feel like you can't go far or an obstacle is too hard for you to overcome or you can't succeed because you can. It's just a matter of fact if you can keep going. And hey, it's one day at a time. Thank you.
Hi, Tori. She keeps saying Samantha for those that can't hear. It's kind of cute. Well, good morning. How's everyone doing? Good. Also, I'm a little sick, so bear with me. But that's okay. I'm here to tell my story of this semester. It's kind of rough. It's really heavy. Yeah, but I am happy to share it with you all. So I love school. My SCP on choir tour, secret encouragement partner for those that don't know who aren't a part of choir, got me this heart necklace that says science on it. Very accurate for me. I love school. And that is my major for those who don't know. So the beginning of the semester, I was coming in, I was like, yes, so excited, like genetic analysis, organic chemistry, I'm so pumped. And everything just went flat. It just fell flat. The beginning of the semester was a rough start. I lost 2 friends from high school in a car accident, the beginning of the semester. And I was like, no, it's okay. I can keep going. Like, God's got this. And then after that, I got a call from my mom saying that my cousin had passed away. And I was like, wow, I was literally just talking to her just the other day. That's weird. And I was like, no, God's got this. Like, I'm just going to keep going. And as these things kept happening, I just kept putting these emotions inside of me, and they were not being let out. I was just like, no, it's okay. I'm going to keep covering it up because God's got it. I don't need to worry about it. And then I got a call again. My grandpa had passed away. And then I went home for fall break, and my other grandpa passed away. And then right before choir tour this week, actually last week, my close friend of mine committed suicide. And it's one of those things where you're like, wow, where are you, God? Why have you not come in for me? And I don't know if any of you have gone through that before, if you've lost somebody that you loved. I know we probably all have. But this was a semester where I felt like all the odds were against me. And so I thought when I went home for my friend's funeral, I was like, I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back at all. I'm going to stay home, and school is not my thing. And I heard this still small voice saying, no, I've got you. And that was the thing that I was previously saying to myself, that God's got this, that he has power over it, but I wasn't believing it. And when I hit that rock bottom, when that still small voice came over me and said, no, I've got this, that was that moment when I was like, okay, God's got this. So, moving forward, I came back, because I wouldn't be standing here. I came back to school to see all these lovely faces and be with these people that I knew were surrounding me, that I knew were praying for me, that I knew cared about me, even if they didn't know what was going on. But I wrote this song, and it's called Who You Are. And it's just a small glimpse of what God has told me over this semester, and what I want you guys to take away, that God is faithful, and he is powerful, and he has overcome the darkness. Oh, 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 could it be that I was fine yesterday around this time? God, have you forgotten me? Still I know there's something I can't see. 'Cause when the waters rise and the oceans fall, somehow you're still there, even though I doubt that your love is greater than my woes. God, even in the storm, you are faithful through it all. It's who you are. It's who you are. Oh, 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 oh. When I feel that I am fading, when fear is all I see, it's you even in my unbelief. It's your love that covers me. Where could I run? Where could I hide from the God that saved my life? He never lets me go, and in the valley he still shows me that when the waters rise and the oceans fall, somehow I'm still there, even though you doubt that my love can carry all your woes. Child, even in the storm, I am faithful through it all. It's who I am. It's who I am. Oh, 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 let all my fears, my stress, my pain tremble at the sound of your great name. When darkness comes, it has no place in your presence, God. You're all it takes. Let all my fears, my stress, my pain tremble at the sound of your great name. When darkness comes, it has no place in your presence, God. You're all it takes. Ooh. So when the waters rise and the oceans fall, I will know you're here, even though I doubt that your love can carry all my woes. God, even in the storm, you are faithful through it all. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are.
Hi, I'm Ashley, and I'm sorry. I'm just like taking in what everyone's saying and how it connects to my own life, and it's just beautiful to hear everybody's stories. realized something I needed in my life. But on that note, I'm here to share with you my story about moving forward. I spent almost 3 years during the duration of my high school career disliking myself to unimaginable and horrifying depths. When I finally decided to begin teaching myself to love myself and got the help I genuinely needed to turn my life around, it all seemed to be going very well. But I soon learned that God had greater intentions for me to truly love myself again. Upon graduating Huntley High School, I was the online editor of our school newspaper. I had won Miss Lake in the Hills 2016. I was starting to prepare myself for college at Northeastern Illinois University, and I met whom I believed to be the love of my life, my best friend and current boyfriend. I was at an all-time peak for myself. I had been months clean from self-harming and self-hatred. I was growing positively as an individual. When I was 19, I worked in a small family-owned restaurant my first semester at NEIU. One day I was at work, I was simply drinking lemon water, and it felt as though I was swallowing shards of glass. I knew something wasn't right. After talking with my dad, seeing many doctors, undergoing a CT scan and a biopsy on my thyroid, I was diagnosed with papillary thyroid cancer on November 30th of 2016. Since, I have undergone 3 surgeries, 3 radioactive iodine treatments, 2 reoccurrences, multiple tests and scans, and I cannot even begin to count how many times I've been poked with needles. I've cried, laughed, felt overjoyed, felt hatred, felt jealousy, all of it. I noticed signs of myself becoming who I tried to change from since high school. This high peak in life that I had started to felt as though it was taken away as quickly as I had gained it. I now understand this was God's way to help me move forward in loving myself and my life. I had to put myself first for the first time in my life. I had to make my own appointments, communicate with my professors about missing class and assignments. I had to make time to still be able to work both at my job and in school. I had to keep fighting not only the disease, but to keep fighting for hope that one day it would all be over. I needed to fight to love myself no matter how down I felt. The 2 biggest compliments I have ever received are that I'm wise and that I'm always optimistic. You see, for me to move forward, I did not just need to steer myself away from the negative thoughts and try new things. I needed to show genuine love to myself and focus more on my health, physically, mentally, and spiritually. After almost 3 years, and as of October 23rd this year, marks my first day of remission for the 2nd time. If I continue to show signs with my doctors that I do not have a reoccurrence again, I will be able to say that I am 100% cancer-free in 5 years. Attending Judson University was not in my initial plans in high school. Now looking at it and standing here today as a junior, I realize that this is exactly where God wanted me to be. If you asked me at the beginning of the semester how I felt about my faith, I would shrug and tell you I honestly don't know. But now, I fully believe God's plan for me to move forward was to remind me that it is important for me to never lose myself. That it's okay to cry and be happy and feel all of these different emotions. However, it's important to give time to myself to heal and understand the importance of loving myself and my life. Moving forward, I'm focusing more on the things I love. I enjoy using makeup as a form of expression. I could sit in my room for hours and paint my face and love the outcome every time. I love spending time with my best friend and her dog and just talking on her back porch for hours. I love spending time with my family, especially mine and my parents' breakfast dates. I love going on random Walmart shopping sprees with my mom just because. And I love going on spontaneous driving adventures with my boyfriend with no destination, just driving to be there in the moment. Moving forward, I am choosing to be free of my old self. I am choosing to grow more and more in my faith. I'm choosing to allow time for myself to relax. And finally, I am choosing to love my bubbly, optimistic, wise, goofy, and unique individual self for me. I am choosing to love my life, even on the dark days. I now know that after every storm, there's a rainbow on the other side waiting for me. Thank you.
Can we give another round of applause to all of our presenters, please? There's a story told in the Gospels where Jesus is teaching, and he's with all of the powerful and the elite inside this house. And he's probably doing his thing. He's teaching and marveling everyone with all of his stories and backwards way that he views faith and the way that he turns faith upside down. But then, above him, he hears some grinding through the roof. There's digging all of a sudden, and surely dust or whatever the roofs are made out of begins to crumble and fall. And he sees that there's light that's exposed at the top of this roof, and there's 4 heads that poke their way through, and then more and more of the roof begins to give way, and they begin lowering this individual who clearly can't walk, who clearly needs assistance, and there are people lowering him in front of this Jesus character, and there's a small circle created for this man being lowered by the corners of his rug. And the rug is stinky. The rug doesn't seem to fit in this place of power, in this place of prestige, in this place of privilege. It just doesn't fit. And here's what happened. Jesus looked at the man, looked at the 4 heads that were poking their heads through the opening. You know what he told him? He said, because of their faith, you have been healed. Because of their faith. Now think about that. He didn't say because of your faith. He said because of their faith, you have been healed. Now, I think this has incredible ramifications for what that means for us as we try to move forward, as we seek to move forward, as we pursue healing and all of that. What I want you to notice is in all of the stories, there were 3 elements of healing that had to happen. When we talk about personal resilience, there are 3 elements that had to happen, and I just noticed these as we were listening. The first is that they had to make a decision to move forward. We romanticize healing, we romanticize moving forward as if one day you're going to be filled with all of this power and you're just like, now is the day that I'm going to move forward. That's not how it goes. And the speakers that just delivered some of their story would probably tell you it's an everyday, small, minuscule movements. And obviously, I come from the Christian tradition, and this school comes from the Christian tradition, and so we believe the Spirit carries us on and helps us individually and speaks life and truth and love to us. But one of the things I noticed specifically about the stories that we just heard was that there was nothing what you call spiritual bypassing. Spiritual bypassing is this horrendous, terrible thing that Christians often do, and it's not unique to the Christian community. It happens in different ways in other communities as well. But in the Christian community, what often happens is we mask our pain and we mask what's happening by just, yep, okay, God's got it, yep, okay, the Lord, yep, I just don't know. And you're like, are you actually feeling anything? And spiritual bypassing can be the way in which we just ignore our problems. And that's not moving forward. That's not moving forward. That's not building resilience. That's not waking up ready to conquer the day or ready to just make one incremental step forward. What you heard were some deep faith expressions from, if I recall, at least most of our speakers. You heard this deep faith that didn't mask the problem, but allowed it to exist and allowed us to move forward. The second thing that you notice that it requires in order to move forward is community. Yes, but I've been wounded by community. Yes, but you can never heal from community if you refuse to engage in community. Communal wounds are unique in that they require community to heal them. And what we noticed is, to return to the story, is Jesus says, because of their faith, you are healed. Sometimes you need to rest on the faith of your best friend in order to get you through difficult seasons. And that's like theological for my Christian brothers and sisters. There's like a real deal truth there. you need to lean on community around you if you want to move forward through some of these things. You've got to. This like Rough Rider, Lone Ranger, I'm just going to kind of do this on my own thing. That looks great in Hollywood and cinemas, but the issue is it does not work for real life. The last thing that I noticed is that a lot of them came from this true expression of faith. Again, that's not spiritual bypassing, but it's this belief that even when I don't see it, and when I genuinely don't, like at all see it one bit, like 0% see it. And the only thing that I do see is my own doubt and my own unforgiveness and my own, that maybe the Lord might actually be doing something. And sometimes even just saying that is what it means to move forward. Sometimes just saying that, just feeling that internally of like, I can't for some reason let go of this belief that the Lord might have me, or the Lord might be telling me just to be silent, or the Lord might be telling me just to do this thing. And that's all I have. Do I believe it? No. Do I say it? And like, is there some reason why I can't let go of it? For some reason, yes. That might be moving forward more than you think. So here's what I want to do for our last 5 minutes. I want to give you the opportunity. What's your 2-sentence story of moving forward? I know they're here. What's your 2-sentence story? I'm not asking you to go on for 5 minutes, but you can be vague as you want. But what's your 2-sentence story about how you moved forward? About how you had to choose, about how you had to lean in a community, about how you had to lean on the Lord to move forward? 2 sentences. What's your 2-sentence story? You have one?
Well, my 2 cents story is like, like God trusted me, like coming here and like realizing that this family, all these people, like they believe in me and they changed my life forever. But like God just showed me like, because I'm a senior and I'm graduating soon, and I don't know how like to end up like graduating and then moving forward. But there's a reason why God is like faithful and he trusts me on moving forward with my life, and understanding that God can trust anyone who is like hurting or who people are. There's people that are hurting and it's kind of sad. But we live in a world that we can pray for, and that there will be no suffering, no like death, because of the way that it is. But our lives are changed because of God and how he understands our family and how he understands us. We trust in him. He believes in us. And that's all I have to say.
Dang. Girls preaching. Yeah, Rod. Your 2-sentence story.
My definition of moving forward is to not let yourself be defined on who you was and what you did before, but for who you are now and what you're going to be in the future. And so that's kind of my definition.
Thank you. Who else has got a 2-sentence story? I saw your hand back here, Brooke.
Sometimes moving forward means moving on, and that means forgiveness. And I read somewhere that sometimes forgiveness means me giving up the right to hurt someone else for hurting me.
Who else? How about from back here? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to say that, God is so good. I'm a little older than a lot of you guys. I'm like 26. And I've been through a rough spot in my life, I was dealing with substance abuse. I was supposed to be married, lost my fiance, all the stuff, contemplating suicide. And honestly, like, God brought me to an awesome place. He took me out of a dark place. And I want to say, do not lean on your guys' self. Do not lean on your identity in whether it's sports, relationships, whatever. Lean on God, because all that stuff can be taken away from you. Like, when you guys leave this place, if you're in sports, whatever, you're probably not going to be in there. The relationships might not last, but no one can take God away from you. And it's awesome. Like, I wanted nothing to do with God, but honestly, he brought me here. He has done amazing things in my life. And wherever you guys are, if you guys are going through really crappy family situations, crappy whatever, honestly, he's so good. So that's my 2 cents.
Wow. Wow, how are we doing on time? All right, we got time for one more. We got time for one more. I haven't heard from back here at all. Max, hello, okay. All right, you're going to close this out, bud.
All right, now I tend to go on a tangent, so if I do, just tap me on the shoulder or something. All right, so I'm going to start out with something that my dad told me, and I will never forget it. He told me, I was sitting in my room, I was really upset, I was really in a dark mindset one day, and he looked at me and he said, "Son, you only get one life. You don't get a do-over. And if you waste it, well, you know, you don't want to do that." And if we look over here, we got my buddy Jordan over here. He's helped me out through a lot, so thanks, pal. And there's a lot of people here who I want to say thank you for making coming here worth it. And I'm not going to give out names because you know who you are. And yeah. Oh, and go Cowboys. So any Eagles fans in here, walk
All right, I'll
out.
take the mic now. All right, can we give a round of applause for all of our speakers really quick? All right, hold on. Before you leave, I want to pray over you, and then you can go, I promise. All right? All right? All right, Father, I pray that you give us the ability to see every morning as a way to move forward, as a way to overcome those things that have been put in our path. I pray that we see every morning a new opportunity to lean on the brothers and sisters around us, to lean on our families and friends, and that they would have the ability to speak life and love and truth and bear our burdens with us. And I pray that we have the ability to see you in a new light every single morning, that Spirit, you would empower us to do everything that we've just talked about. Help us to move forward. Give us the ability. We love you. Amen.